At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
When you show someone their light first, they're more willing to confront the shadows.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. So, the idea for this show is if you show someone their light first, they're more willing to confront the shadows. And I hope most of you understand what that means. And we're going to hear it from my point of view. And for those individuals that don't know where I might be coming from, again, stay tuned and you'll hear from my point of view. So, personal experience. And I realized that this is what worked for me in corporate America in my job. I had a supervisor that was rather demanding. And this particular supervisor, now those of you who knows, I worked in customer service for quite a few years. And it may not have been always directly in customer service, but I had quite a few customer service-ish type jobs in various parts of healthcare. Or various focus in healthcare. Both the insurance side, the provider side. Yeah, it's all over the place. But I had this particular supervisor who was quicker to point out my deficiencies versus what I might have done right. So everywhere I've worked in a customer service setting, and not just customer service, but even when I worked in other positions in the healthcare field, where, everyone has could have a weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual, biannual, type reviews, but in customer service, we kind of got one every week and a half-ish, because we would have calls that would be reviewed and all those type of things. Again, that's industry standard for me. I just, it was just across the board. I don't care where I worked. I was always had a review. But this one particular supervisor will always point out the negatives and never give me any idea of how to really do better on what I'm doing great at or good at. It's not great, but good. So we'll point out my negatives and say, hey, Maurice, I know that in a scale of 1 to 10, you're at a 80% because of the calls, your length of calls, things like that. So I need you to do X, Y, and Z. But here's the thing. Supervisor, is there a way I can get better? Supervisor, is there a way that I can do something that shows that I understand what I'm doing or whatever? Like, have I done any of that at all? I understand that I'm getting 80%. I mean, I still think that's a passing grade from a school perspective. Yes, it might be a B, but at least let me know what I have done very well. And then let me know those where I am doing okay, but I can improve, not just all the things that I'm doing wrong. And so the idea would be, that we need to help people see what's right before showing what needs work. Because the reality is that affirmation opens the door to transformation. Affirmation opens the door to transformation. And if each and every one of us are trying to make an impression on someone or whatever it is, compliments help. You're doing a good job, a pat on the back, a high five, those type of things. Just it don't have to be what appears to be on the surface monumental, but we have no idea what it really means to that individual if you do that. Because unfortunately, the flip side of that would be if you're constantly telling this individual that they are doing things wrong, well, guess what? That could lead to catastrophic results. And now all of a sudden, that 80% is now down to 30%. And I've seen people drop that low in a month or a week because the opportunities were not there to receive positive affirmation. Now, here's another viewpoint on this, is that sometimes as a manager, you can see the individuals who know they're good, and sometimes you kind of want to even them out some. And I've heard that excuse as well. And for some people, it might work. The appearance of it might work. But everybody needs to have that moment of affirmation. Hey, you are doing a great job. You are a valuable person of the team. Those type of things. You're one of the reasons why we're meeting our overall numbers. Like, you're a foundational player. You are a transitional player. You are one of those individuals that gets the group riled up. Like, all these things that get people almost jumping out of their seat, waving their hands in the air like they just don't care, because they're doing such a great job in their position. So I hope that you are able to see that people really need that. People need to know they're capable before they'll believe they can change. And if you're showing me my phone calls, because that means if I'm at an 80, that means I had to have, if you're averaging my calls in a certain week, right? That means there were some that were above 80 and there were some that might have been below 80, if that's the average. So what are the ones that are above 80 to say, hey, Maurice, you have been able to do this. You've been able to maintain this. You have worked on this, but here's the part that you're lacking in. So how do you see what you've been doing? And you've been doing it quite well, because in reality, the reason why I might have an 80 might be because of just one phone call, depending on how many calls you're being, judged on, right? Or being reviewed. It could be just one phone call, because that one could just be a bad one, especially in your customer service and having to deal with the public. It could, there are some phone calls. I know that's turned ugly real quick. And so now you have to learn how to maneuver and judge and pivot and this and that, judging how the call is going. So that way you know how to pivot, move things along, help the customer or the client. Hey, still do things with a smile on your face, things like that. But guess what? You can't do that all the time. Because you have bad days as well. So in order for people to know that they're capable of keeping those numbers above 80%, let's try not to harp on the one that is below 80 that brought their scores down. Let's not judge them based off of that. Let's not say that that's who they are and like there'll be nothing more or better than that. No, they are better than that because they've already been able to show that. So can we please show people what their levels are, their light, their abilities, what they're strong in, and give them kudos, give them the accolades, give them the flowers before it's too late. Before it's too late. Because people need to know that they're capable before they can believe that they can make a change, that they can be transformed. Because unfortunately, we hear a lot of negativity and we believe the hype in that negativity. And so let's change it. Positive affirmations that opens the door to transformation. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chisholm on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?